How
The
could you
rain
do
hammered
this? You were
against the
supposed to
kitchen
be
window
helping
like
her.
desperate fingers tapping for entry. Emma Hayes
I
stood
did
at the
everything
sink,
I could.
her hands raw from washing dishes at the diner all day, then coming home to wash more. The water had gone cold 10 minutes ago, but she kept scrubbing, kept moving, because stopping meant thinking, and thinking meant remembering that tomorrow was rent day. Emma! Margaret's voice cut through the rain's rhythm like a blade. Get in here, now! Emma dried her hands on her faded apron, already knowing this wouldn't be good. Margaret only used that tone when she wanted something, and what Margaret wanted, Margaret got. It had been that way since Emma's father died 8 years ago, leaving her with nowhere else to go. The living room felt suffocating despite its size. Margaret sat in her favorite armchair, the one that had belonged to Emma's mother, wearing the silk bathrobe Emma had bought her last Christmas with her meager savings. Sophie lounged on the couch, scrolling through her phone, her perfectly manicured nails clicking against the screen. Sit, Margaret commanded. Emma remained standing. What is it? Margaret's eyes narrowed. Sophie has an opportunity, a real opportunity. There's a wealthy single father looking for a private nurse for his daughter. The agency called, specifically requesting Sophie. Sophie didn't even look up from her phone. I'm not missing Tyler's yacht party to babysit some brat. His friend knows a modeling scout who will be there. You already accepted the position, Margaret said, her voice dangerously quiet. The agency was very clear. If we back out now, Sophie's nursing license could be questioned. Her entire future could be ruined. Emma watched this play out, already seeing where it was heading. The familiar weight settled in her chest, the one that came with every sacrifice, every demand, every reminder that she lived in this house on borrowed grace. So cancel, Emma said quietly. Tell them she's sick. Margaret laughed, a sound like ice cracking. And risk the Hayes family reputation? Risk Sophie's career before it even starts? No. She turned those calculating eyes on Emma. You'll go. I'm not a nurse. The girl is 5 years old and doesn't speak. You don't need to be a nurse. You need to sit there, make sure she doesn't die, and collect the payment that will keep this roof over our heads. Margaret stood, crossing to Emma with deliberate steps. Or would you prefer to find somewhere else to live? Tonight? In this storm? Emma's throat tightened. Outside, the rain had become a torrent. She had $43 in her bank account. No car. No friends who could take her in. Margaret knew this. She'd made sure of it over the years, isolating Emma piece by piece until this house, this family that wasn't really hers, was all she had left. The father is Daniel Cross, Sophie said, finally looking up with a smirk. Some tech guy, probably autistic or something. His wife died and left him with a weird kid who won't talk. The agency said he's desperate. He won't even notice you're not me. You're about the same height, Margaret added, circling Emma like a predator. In Sophie's scrubs, with your hair pulled back, in a dimly lit house with a distracted father, who's going to know? This is fraud, Emma whispered. This is survival, Margaret snapped. You think you contribute enough to this household? Your pathetic diner wages? This is your chance to actually be useful for once, to pay back even a fraction of what this family has done for you. The words hit their mark, as they always did. Every meal, every night under this roof, every moment of shelter from the world that had taken both her parents, it all came with a price, and Margaret never let her forget it. What if something happens to the child while I'm there? What if she needs real medical attention? Margaret waved her hand dismissively. The child hasn't spoken in 2 years. She just needs a babysitter with a medical title to satisfy the father's paranoia. You'll go tomorrow night, 8 o'clock. The address is on the counter. I don't have a choice, do I? Emma asked, though she already knew the answer. Margaret smiled, cold and satisfied. You always have a choice, dear. You can be grateful and helpful, or you can be homeless. Which would your poor father prefer, do you think? Emma felt something break inside her, small and quiet, like a thread finally snapping after being pulled too tight for too long. She looked at Sophie, who had already returned to her phone, at Margaret, who was pouring herself wine from a bottle that cost more than Emma made in a week, and she nodded. I'll do it. Of course you will, Margaret said, already dismissing her. Wear something decent. Try not to embarrass us more than you already do by existing. Emma walked back to the kitchen, to the cold dishwater, to the window where rain blurred the world outside into something unrecognizable. Tomorrow night, she would pretend to be someone else, lie to a grieving father, deceive a child who had already lost too much. But what choice did she have? In Margaret's house, Emma had learned that survival sometimes meant becoming someone you never wanted to be. And tomorrow night, she would cross a line she couldn't uncross. She just didn't know yet that sometimes the biggest lies we tell lead us to the greatest truths we find. Yo, hosties. Daniel Cross lived in a tower of glass and steel that reached toward the Seattle sky, like a prayer nobody was listening to. From his office on the 40th floor, he could see the entire city spread below, lights twinkling like fallen stars in the early morning darkness. He'd been here since 4 a.m., not because he needed to be, but because being here was easier than being home. Home was where the silence lived. He pressed his forehead against the cool window, watching the first hints of dawn paint the horizon, purple and gold. 2 years. 2 years since the phone call that changed everything. 2 years since he'd had to explain to a 3-year-old why Mommy wasn't coming home from her business trip. 2 years since Lily had spoken a single word. "Mr. Cross?" His assistant James knocked softly on the door. "The Beijing conference call has been moved to 7, and the new nurse from the agency arrives tonight at 8. Daniel didn't turn around. "The 4th one this month." "Yes, sir." "What makes this one different?" James hesitated. "The agency says she specializes in selective mutism in children who've experienced trauma. Her name is Sophie Hayes." Sophie Hayes. Another stranger who would sit in his house for a few days, try to crack the code of his daughter's silence, and leave when they realized that some things couldn't be fixed with degrees and good intentions. "Cancel my evening meetings," Daniel said. "I want to be there when she arrives." "Of course, sir." After James left, Daniel pulled up the security footage on his computer. It was a habit now, checking on Lily throughout the day. There she was in her bedroom, already awake despite the early hour. She sat at her little white desk, drawing. Always drawing. The child psychologist said it was her way of communicating, but Daniel couldn't decode the meaning behind the endless pictures of birds with broken wings, houses with no doors, and 3 figures where one was always fading away. His phone buzzed with a text from his mother. "Have you considered moving back to Chicago? Lily needs family around her." He deleted it without responding. His mother meant well, but she didn't understand. Lily didn't need more people hovering, worrying, trying to fix her. He didn't know what she needed. That was the problem. The day blurred together like they all did now. Meetings about algorithms and market shares, presentations about revolutionary AI that would change the world. He'd built his company, Neuralink Technologies, from nothing into a $3 billion empire. He could solve any problem, optimize any system, debug any code, but he couldn't get his 5-year-old daughter to say, "Good morning." By 6 p.m., he was home. The house felt too big, too quiet, like a museum dedicated to a life that no longer existed. The interior designer had called it modern minimalist. Claire had loved it. Now it just felt empty. He found Lily in her usual spot, the window seat in the playroom, watching the rain that had started an hour ago. She didn't look up when he entered, didn't acknowledge his presence, but he saw her shoulders relax slightly. She always knew when he was near. "Hi, sweetheart," he said softly, sitting beside her. "How was your day?" She held up her iPad, showing him a drawing she'd made. A tall figure in black, a small figure in pink, standing in the rain under a broken umbrella. "That's beautiful," he said, though the image made his chest ache. "Is that us?" She nodded, then pointed to the umbrella, tracing the broken spokes with her finger. "We can get a new umbrella," he offered. She shook her head and returned to staring out the window. Mrs. Chen, the housekeeper, had left dinner in the warming drawer. Lily picked at her food, arranging the peas and patterns on her plate. Daniel pretended to eat, mostly pushing his own food around. This was their routine, silent meals filled with all the words they couldn't say. At 7:45, Lily suddenly stood and walked to the front door. She did this sometimes, seemed to know things before they happened. Daniel followed, and at exactly 8 o'clock, the doorbell rang. Through the security monitor, he could see a figure huddled under a broken umbrella, soaking wet. Something was wrong. The person was on foot. Who walked in this neighborhood? In this weather? He opened the door to find a young woman, completely drenched, shivering on his doorstep. Her scrubs were soaked through, her blonde hair plastered to her face, and she had a look in her eyes like she was about to run. "I'm sorry," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "My bike broke down about a mile away, and my phone died, and I couldn't call a ride, and I—" She stopped mid-sentence because Lily had done something she'd never done before. His daughter, who hadn't voluntarily touched a stranger in 2 years, who shrank away from every therapist and nurse and well-meaning relative, walked forward and took the woman's hand. Just took it, like it was the most natural thing in the world. Daniel couldn't breathe. He watched as Lily tugged the stranger inside, leading her to the hallway like she'd been waiting for her all along. "I'm so sorry," the woman said again, water pooling around her feet. "This is so unprofessional. I should go. I can come back tomorrow when—" "No," Daniel said quickly, too quickly. "No, please. You're Sophie Hayes?" Something flickered in her eyes. Fear? Guilt? But she nodded. "Yes." "You're soaked. Mrs. Chen keeps spare clothes in the guest room. You can change, and we'll dry your things." "I couldn't." But Lily was already pulling her toward the stairs. His silent daughter, who hadn't initiated contact with anyone in 2 years, was leading this stranger through their house like she belonged here. Daniel followed, mesmerized. Lily brought the woman to the guest room, then disappeared into her own room. She returned with something in her hands, her favorite towel, the one with the cartoon ducks that Claire had bought, the one she wouldn't let anyone else touch. She held it out to the stranger. The woman knelt down, making herself smaller, less threatening. "Thank you," she said softly. "That's very kind of you." Lily reached out and touched the woman's wet hair, then pointed to the towel. "You want me to dry my hair with this?" Lily nodded. "Are you sure? It looks special." Lily nodded again, more insistently. The woman carefully took the towel and gently dried her hair, watching Lily the whole time. "Is this better?" Lily did something that made Daniel's knees weak. She smiled. Not the ghost of a smile he sometimes caught, but a real, genuine smile. "I'll leave you to change," Daniel managed to say. "Take your time." He walked to his study in a daze, pouring himself a scotch with shaking hands. In 5 minutes, this stranger had gotten more response from Lily than 2 years of therapy had achieved. Who was this woman? When she emerged 15 minutes later, wearing Mrs. Chen's spare jeans and sweater, she looked younger, more vulnerable. She found them in the kitchen, where Lily had set out 3 plates. 3? She never set 3 anymore. "I should explain," the woman began. "Later," Daniel said. "Have you eaten?" "I'm fine." Her stomach growled audibly, and Lily actually giggled. The sound was so unexpected, so precious that Daniel nearly dropped his glass. "Sit," he said. "Please." As she ate the reheated pasta, Lily sat close to her, not touching, but close. Closer than she'd sat to anyone except Daniel in 2 years. She watched the woman eat with intense concentration, occasionally pushing the breadbasket closer to her. "Your daughter is wonderful," the woman said softly. "She is," Daniel agreed. "She just hasn't been herself since she lost her mother?" He nodded, surprised by her directness. Most people danced around the subject. "Loss changes us," she said simply, looking at Lily with understanding eyes. "Sometimes we need to be silent for a while, until we find a reason to speak again." Lily stood up and tugged on the woman's sleeve. She wanted to show her something. Daniel followed as his daughter led them to the playroom, to her wall of drawings, hundreds of them, all variations of the same themes. The woman studied them carefully, taking her time with each one. "You're telling a story," she said to Lily. "An important story." Lily pulled out a fresh paper and crayons, sitting at her small table. She pushed a crayon toward the woman. An invitation. As the stranger sat down and began to draw alongside his daughter, Daniel realized something that terrified and thrilled him in equal measure. This wasn't just another nurse who would leave in a few days. Something was different this time. Something had shifted in the air of their too-quiet house. He didn't know yet that the woman drawing with his daughter wasn't Sophie Hayes. He didn't know she was Emma, desperate and frightened and lying with every breath. He only knew that, for the first time in 2 years, his house felt less like a museum and more like a home. The rain continued outside, but inside, something was beginning that none of them could have predicted. A broken family and a lost young woman, brought together by a lie that would, against all odds, lead them to truth. Emma's hands trembled as she drew alongside Lily, trying to keep the crayon steady. Every instinct screamed at her to run, to confess, to do anything except sit here pretending to be someone she wasn't. But then Lily would lean closer, adding a small detail to Emma's drawing. A bird here, a cloud there, and Emma couldn't move. The little girl was creating a shared story on the paper, one where Emma's clumsy houses had Lily's detailed gardens, where Emma's stick figures held hands with Lily's more carefully drawn people. It was communication without words, and Emma found herself responding naturally, adding elements that made Lily's eyes light up with recognition. "She hasn't done this with anyone," Daniel said from the doorway, his voice thick with something Emma couldn't identify. "The other nurses, the therapists, she wouldn't even stay in the same room with most of them." Emma looked up, guilt crushing her chest. "Mr. Cross, I should tell you." But Lily grabbed her hand, squeezing it with surprising strength. The little girl looked at her with eyes that seemed far too knowing for a 5-year-old, as if she could see right through Emma's deception to something deeper, something real. "Would you like to see her room?" Daniel asked. "The agency mentioned you'd want to understand her environment." Emma nodded, not trusting her voice. She followed as Lily led them down the hallway, still holding her hand. The child's bedroom was beautiful, but sterile. White furniture, pale pink walls, expensive toys that looked untouched. But the windows were covered with drawings, layers and layers of them, creating a stained glass effect with the evening light filtering through. "She started doing that about a year ago," Daniel explained. "The child psychologist said not to stop her, that it was her way of processing." Emma studied the drawings. They were all variations of the same scene. 3 figures, happy, whole. Then progressively, one figure would fade, become transparent, float away. The remaining 2 figures would get smaller, darker, until they were just shadows. "May I?" Emma asked Lily, gesturing to the drawings. Lily nodded, watching intently as Emma examined each one. At the bottom of the window, newer drawings showed something different. The 2 shadow figures, but with a third shape approaching, undefined, sketchy, like Lily wasn't sure what it was yet. "These are more recent?" Emma asked Daniel. "Last few weeks. The psychologist thinks she's anticipating something, or someone." Lily tugged Emma to her bookshelf, pulling out book after book, handing them to her. Not children's books, Emma realized with surprise, but stories about families finding each other. Anne of Green Gables, The Secret Garden, A Little Princess. Books about orphans and lost children finding home. "You read these to her?" Emma asked Daniel. "She won't let me anymore. Not since—" He trailed off. "She reads them herself, over and over." Lily pulled out another book, this one hidden behind the others. A photo album. She opened it carefully, showing Emma pictures of a beautiful woman with Lily's same soft features and Daniel's intense eyes. Claire Cross laughing at a beach. Claire, pregnant, hands on her belly. Claire holding newborn Lily with a look of complete wonder. "That's your mama?" Emma said softly. "She's beautiful." Lily turned the page. The last photo was of all 3 of them at what looked like Lily's 3rd birthday party. After that, blank pages. A story abruptly ended. Emma felt tears prick her eyes. She understood interrupted stories, lives divided into before and after. "My mama had eyes like yours," she found herself saying. "Kind eyes. She used to tell me that kind eyes see the best in people, even when they can't see it themselves." Lily looked at her intently, then did something that made Daniel gasp. She pointed to Emma's eyes, then to her mother's in the photo, then back to Emma's. "You think I have kind eyes too?" Emma whispered. Lily nodded solemnly, then threw her arms around Emma's neck, holding on like she was afraid Emma would disappear. Emma held her carefully, this small, fragile child who'd lost so much. Over Lily's shoulder, she saw Daniel turning away, his hand pressed to his mouth, shoulders shaking slightly. "I should let you settle in," he said roughly, not looking at them. "Your room is ready. The agency said you'd be staying nights?" Emma's mind raced. She hadn't prepared for this. Yes, if that's what you need." "It's what Lily needs," he said, finally turning back. His eyes were red-rimmed but determined. "She has nightmares. Wakes up looking for—" Someone. The night nurses have been useless. They just call me when she wakes up crying. What helps her? Emma asked, still holding Lily. Nothing. I hold her until she exhausts herself and falls back asleep. Sometimes it takes hours. Emma felt Lily's grip tighten. What if we tried something different? When I was little and had nightmares, my mother would tell me stories. Not from books, but stories she made up, about brave girls who found magic in ordinary things. Lily pulled back, looking at Emma with interest. Would you like that? If you have a bad dream tonight, I could tell you a story. Lily nodded eagerly, then yawned. The excitement of the evening was catching up with her. Bath time, Daniel said gently. Sophie, Miss Hayes needs to get settled. Emma's stomach clenched at the false name, but she followed as Daniel showed her to the guest room. It was elegant, impersonal, like a high-end hotel. The agency sent your credentials, of course, Daniel said, but I'd like to know, what made you specialize in selective mutism? Emma's mouth went dry. She thought of Margaret's threats, of the rain still pounding outside, of her $43 and nowhere to go. Then she thought of Lily's drawings, of kind eyes, of a little girl who'd taken her hand like she'd been waiting for her. I lost my voice once too, Emma said, which was true in its own way. After my father died, I didn't speak for 3 months. Everyone tried to make me talk. Therapists, counselors, family. But my mother, she just waited. She stayed close. She was present. And one day when I was ready, the words came back. Daniel studied her face. And you think Lily will talk again? I think Lily will talk when she has something she needs to say, when the words become more important than the silence. He nodded slowly. The agency was right about you. You're different from the others. If only he knew how different. After he left to put Lily to bed, Emma sat on the guest bed, head in her hands. What was she doing? This wasn't just lying about qualifications. This was inserting herself into a grieving family's life. This was unforgivable. Her phone buzzed. A text from Margaret. You better not mess this up. Sophie's reputation depends on it. Then another. The father is worth millions. Make sure he pays in cash. Emma deleted both messages. She walked to the window, watching the rain streak down the glass. Below, Seattle sparkled, indifferent to her crisis of conscience. A soft knock interrupted her thoughts. She opened the door to find Lily in pajamas covered in small dinosaurs, holding a teddy bear and a book. Without waiting for invitation, the little girl walked in and climbed onto the bed, patting the spot beside her. Emma sat down carefully. Can't sleep? Lily shook her head, then handed her the book. It wasn't a children's book. It was a journal filled with Lily's drawings and what looked like Daniel's handwriting. We started this together, Daniel said from the doorway. After Claire died, I would write what I thought Lily was feeling, and she would draw. But she stopped letting me write in it months ago. Lily opened to a blank page and put a crayon in Emma's hand, then pointed to the page insistently. You want me to write something? Lily nodded, then started drawing on the opposite page. A house in the rain. 3 figures inside, warm and safe while the storm raged outside. Emma picked up the crayon and, without thinking too much, began to write. Sometimes the best families are the ones that find each other in storms. Sometimes the rain brings people to the right door at the right time. Sometimes a broken umbrella leads to exactly where you need to be. Lily read it. This supposedly nonverbal child could clearly read well above her age level, and smiled. She added more details to her drawing. A broken bicycle in the rain, a duck towel, 3 plates of pasta. She's documenting tonight, Daniel said softly. She only documents important things. Emma looked at this little girl who'd decided she was important, at this father who was trusting her with his most precious thing in the world, and felt something crack open inside her chest. Tomorrow, she would have to face the lies. Tomorrow, she would have to figure out how to extract herself from this deception. But tonight, as Lily curled against her side and Daniel sat in the chair by the window, reading emails while stealing glances at them, Emma let herself exist in this moment. This borrowed, stolen moment where she wasn't the unwanted cousin living on charity, wasn't the girl whose father died in debt and whose mother died of a broken heart. Tonight, she was someone who mattered, someone a silent child had chosen to trust. The rain continued its assault on the windows, but inside this room, something gentle was taking root. Something that would grow beyond any of their expectations, beyond the lies that brought them together, beyond the pain that had shaped them all. Lily fell asleep holding Emma's hand, the journal open between them, showing the drawing of 3 people, safe and warm and together. Daniel carried his daughter to bed, but not before pausing at Emma's door. "Thank you," he said simply. "I haven't seen her this present in 2 years." "She's extraordinary," Emma replied, meaning it. "So are you, Sophie Hayes," he said, and the name hit like cold water. After he left, Emma lay in the unfamiliar bed, listening to the rain and the quiet house. Somewhere down the hall, a little girl slept peacefully for the first time in months. Somewhere else, a father allowed himself to hope. And in this room, Emma, not Sophie, never really Sophie, wondered if the truth would destroy everything, or if sometimes, just sometimes, the universe used lies to deliver exactly what everyone needed. Emma woke to small fingers patting her face. Lily stood beside the bed, fully dressed, but with her hair tangled from sleep, holding a brush in one hand and a ribbon in the other. The early morning light filtered through the windows, casting everything in soft gold. "Good morning," Emma whispered, and Lily smiled, climbing onto the bed and turning her back, offering the brush. It was such a trusting gesture, such an intimate morning ritual, that Emma's hands shook slightly as she began to gently work through the tangles. She remembered her own mother doing this, humming softly, taking time with each knot. "You have beautiful hair," Emma said, sectioning it carefully. "Should we do a braid today?" Lily nodded enthusiastically, then jumped up and ran to the dresser, returning with a photo. It showed Claire braiding Lily's hair, both of them laughing at something off camera. "She did it like this?" Emma asked, studying the complex French braid. "I can try." As her fingers worked, muscle memory from childhood returned. Her mother had taught her on rainy afternoons, patient hands guiding hers. Soon, Lily's hair was woven into a perfect braid, tied with the yellow ribbon. Lily examined it in the mirror, then threw her arms around Emma's waist, squeezing tight. "Well," Daniel's voice came from the doorway. "This is a first." He stood there in running clothes, sweat darkening his shirt, looking younger and less guarded than he had the night before. "She hasn't let anyone do her hair since—" "I hope it's okay," Emma said quickly. She asked, "It's more than okay." His voice was thick. "I've been managing ponytails for 2 years, badly." Lily tugged Emma's hand, pulling her toward the door with clear intent. "Breakfast?" Daniel translated. "She wants you to have breakfast with us, but you don't have to." "I'd love to," Emma said, and meant it. The kitchen was a chef's dream. Marble counters, professional-grade appliances, everything pristine and barely used. Daniel pulled out cereal boxes and milk, apologetic. "I'm not much of a cook. Claire was the one who—" He stopped. "Anyway, Mrs. Chen doesn't come until 9 on Saturdays." "What if I cook?" Emma offered. "I actually love cooking. If you have eggs and flour, I could make pancakes." Lily's eyes widened with excitement. She ran to the pantry, pulling out ingredients with purpose: chocolate chips, blueberries, a bottle of vanilla that looked unopened. "She remembers?" Daniel said quietly. "Claire used to make pancakes every Saturday. It was their thing." Emma hesitated. "Maybe I shouldn't—" But Lily was already pushing a mixing bowl into her hands, looking at her with such hope that Emma couldn't refuse. "Okay," Emma said, "but you have to help me. Can you crack eggs?" For the next hour, the kitchen transformed. Lily measured flour with intense concentration, getting it everywhere. Emma showed her how to fold in blueberries gently, how to test if the griddle was ready by flicking water on it. Daniel watched from his seat at the island, something shifting in his expression as Lily giggled at the bubbles forming in the batter. "She's actually laughing," he murmured. Emma flipped a pancake, making it a little theatrical, and Lily clapped. Then, to everyone's shock, she opened her mouth as if to speak. No sound came out, but the intent was there, the effort. Daniel stood so quickly his chair scraped against the floor. "Did she just—" "Give her time," Emma said softly, though her heart was racing. "She's trying." They ate together, Lily insisting Emma sit next to her, occasionally feeding her bites of pancake like she was afraid Emma might not eat enough. Daniel told a story about a disastrous presentation where the CEO's dog had somehow gotten into the conference room and deleted half his slides by walking across his laptop. Lily shook with silent laughter, maple syrup on her chin, looking like any happy child on a Saturday morning. Normal. Whole. "I have to go into the office for a few hours," Daniel said reluctantly. "Emergency with the Beijing team. Will you—" "We'll be fine," Emma assured him. "Won't we, Lily?" Lily nodded, already tugging Emma toward the living room, where her art supplies were spread across the coffee table. After Daniel left, Emma and Lily settled into easy companionship. They drew together, creating elaborate stories with their pictures. Lily showed Emma her favorite spots in the house: a reading nook behind the curtains, a place under Daniel's desk where she'd built a fort with pillows. Around noon, Lily's stomach growled. Emma found ingredients for grilled cheese and tomato soup, Claire's recipe written in neat handwriting and tucked inside a cookbook. As she cooked, Lily sat at the counter, drawing. When Emma looked over, she saw Lily had drawn the morning. The three of them at the table, pancakes stacked impossibly high, everyone smiling. At the top, in careful letters, Lily had written, "Happy." "Yes," Emma agreed. It was happy. Lily slid off her stool and walked to a drawer, pulling out more drawings. These were different, darker, sadder. They showed a woman in a bed, machines around her, getting smaller in each picture until she was just a dot, then gone. "Oh, sweetheart," Emma breathed. "You were there? You saw your mama in the hospital?" Lily nodded, tears rolling down her cheeks. She pulled out another drawing, herself, mouth open in a scream, but no sound coming out. The word "mama" written over and over, fading with each repetition. Emma pulled Lily into her arms, holding her as she shook with silent sobs. "You called for her," Emma understood. "You called and called, but she couldn't come back." Lily nodded against her chest. "So you stopped calling. You stopped using words because the most important word didn't work." Another nod. Emma held her tighter, remembering her own loss, her own silence. "When my mama died, I stopped talking too. I thought if I didn't speak, maybe time would stop. Maybe I could go backward to when she was still here." Lily pulled back, looking at her with wide, wet eyes. "But then, one day, I realized she wasn't in the backwards. She was in the forwards. In every kind thing I did, every meal I cooked the way she taught me, every time I helped someone the way she would have. She was in my forwards, not my backwards." Lily stared at her for a long moment, then walked to the window. She pointed to a bird building a nest in the tree outside. "Yes," Emma said, understanding. "The bird keeps building, even after storms, even when the first nest falls." They stood there together, watching the bird work. Then Lily did something extraordinary. She opened her mouth, and though no sound came out, she clearly mouthed, "Stay." Emma's eyes filled. "Oh, honey, I want to, but—" Lily shook her head fiercely, grabbing Emma's hand. She mouthed again, more insistent. "Stay, please, stay." The front door opened. Daniel's voice called out, "I brought Thai food. Didn't know what Sophie liked, so I got everything." Sophie. The name was a bucket of ice water. Emma was Sophie, the nurse, the qualified professional, the lie. Lily must have sensed the change because she gripped Emma's hand tighter, looking at her with something like fear. "We're in here," Emma called, her voice shaking slightly. Daniel appeared with bags of food, but stopped when he saw them. "What happened? Are you both crying?" "We were just talking," Emma said. "About mamas and missing and moving forward." His face softened. "Lily let you see the hospital drawings?" "She's so brave," Emma said. "Braver than any of us know." Daniel set down the food and knelt beside his daughter. "You are brave, sweetheart. The bravest person I know." Lily looked between them, then mouthed very clearly, "Family." Daniel gasped. "Did she just—" "She's trying," Emma said. "She's finding her way back to words." Daniel grabbed Emma's free hand impulsively. "Whatever you're doing, please don't stop. She's coming back. My little girl is coming back." Emma looked at their joined hands, Daniel's strong and warm, Lily's small and trusting, and felt the weight of her deception crushing her chest. These people were healing, opening, trusting her with their most precious wounds, and she was lying to them with every breath. But when Lily climbed into her lap during lunch, when Daniel smiled at her over pad thai with genuine warmth, when they spent the afternoon building a blanket fort and Lily mouthed, "Love you," before her nap, Emma knew she was already in too deep. She wasn't Sophie Hayes. qualified nurse with expertise in childhood trauma. She was Emma, nobody special, living on borrowed grace in a house where she wasn't wanted. But here, in this tower of glass and grief, she was wanted. She was needed. She was, maybe for the first time in her life, essential to something beautiful growing back after devastating loss. The question was, when the truth came out, and it would come out, would that beauty survive, or would she destroy the very thing she'd helped to heal? As Lily slept peacefully and Daniel worked in his office, occasionally looking up to smile at her through the glass doors, Emma let herself pretend for just a little longer that this was real, that she deserved this, that some lies could transform into truth if you just loved hard enough. But Margaret's texts kept coming. Sophie's name kept being spoken, and Emma knew the clock was ticking on this borrowed paradise. Soon, very soon, she would have to choose between the safety of silence and the terror of truth. The following Wednesday started like a dream and ended like a nightmare. Emma had been living in Daniel's house for 5 days, each one making her feel more like she belonged and more like a fraud. Lily had started mouthing words regularly now, simple things like hungry, tired, story please. And Daniel looked at Emma like she'd performed a miracle. That morning, she was making breakfast when her phone rang. Margaret's name flashed on the screen like a warning. Emma stepped onto the terrace to answer, despite the drizzle. "You've been there 5 days," Margaret's voice was sharp. "Sophie needs her first paycheck from this job. The modeling opportunity fell through, and she needs money for headshots." "I haven't been paid yet." "Then get paid. Today. Cash. That man is worth millions. He can afford to pay weekly." "Margaret, I can't just—" "You can and you will. Or have you forgotten our arrangement? One word from me about you impersonating a nurse, and you'll be in prison. Then where will you be?" The line went dead. Emma stood in the rain, shaking. Through the window, she could see Lily setting the table. 3 places, like she did every morning now. The little girl looked up, saw Emma outside, and waved with a smile that made Emma's heart crack. "Everything okay?" Daniel asked when she came back in. He was dressed for work, expensive suit perfectly tailored, but his hair was slightly messed from where Lily had been playing with it. "Yes, fine. Just family stuff." He studied her face. "If you need time off—" "No," Emma said too quickly. "No, I'm exactly where I need to be." Lily tugged her sleeve, mouthing, "School?" "Right, we have the school visit today," Emma remembered. Daniel had arranged for Lily to tour a special education program, though he was skeptical about sending her anywhere while she was still nonverbal. "You don't have to go," Daniel said. "I can take the morning off." But Lily was already pulling Emma toward the door, clearly wanting her there. The school was one of Seattle's most exclusive private institutions, all gleaming hallways and children in perfect uniforms. The director, Mrs. Hamilton, greeted them with professional warmth that didn't reach her eyes. "Mr. Cross, how wonderful to see you, and this must be the new nanny." "Nurse," Daniel corrected. "Sophie Hayes, Lily's therapeutic nurse." "Of course." Mrs. Hamilton's smile tightened. "Though I should mention, we typically require documentation from medical professionals before they can participate in school visits." Emma's stomach dropped. "I didn't realize—" "No matter. You can email credentials later. Shall we tour?" The next hour was torture. Mrs. Hamilton asked increasingly specific questions about therapeutic techniques, developmental milestones, treatment plans. Emma fumbled through answers, drawing on things she'd read online during desperate late-night research sessions. But she could see suspicion growing in the woman's eyes. "What's your opinion on applied behavioral analysis versus floor-time therapy for selective mutism?" Mrs. Hamilton asked pointedly. Emma's mind went blank. I believe each child is different." "Yes, but surely you have a professional opinion. Where did you say you got your degree?" Lily must have sensed Emma's distress because she suddenly grabbed Emma's hand and pulled her toward the art room, effectively ending the interrogation. "Lily, sweetheart, the adults are talking," Mrs. Hamilton said with false sweetness. Lily shook her head firmly and mouthed very clearly, "No, mean." Daniel's eyebrows shot up. "Lily, did you just—" But Lily was already pulling them toward the exit, her message clear. She didn't like this place or this woman. In the car, Daniel was ecstatic. "She's making judgments." expressing opinions. This is incredible, Sophie. Sophie? The name burned. Mr. Cross! Daniel, please, call me Daniel. After everything you've done for us, Mr. Cross feels too formal. Emma nodded, guilt eating her alive. They drove to a small café that Lily loved, one with a reading corner and therapy dogs that visited on Wednesdays. Lily immediately went to pet a golden retriever while Daniel and Emma sat nearby. I owe you an apology, Daniel said. Mrs. Hamilton was out of line with those questions. She was just being thorough. She was being a snob. She does that with anyone she sees as staff. His face darkened. Claire hated that about these schools, the way they measure worth by degrees and pedigrees instead of actual care. What was she like? Emma asked softly. Claire? Daniel's face shifted, memories playing behind his eyes. Brilliant, funny, stubborn as hell. She was a pediatric surgeon, actually, specialized in cardiac cases. She used to say she fixed hearts for a living, but Lily was the one who taught hers how to beat. How did you meet? Coffee shop near the hospital. I was debugging code, completely absorbed, and she literally ran into me, spilled coffee everywhere. Then she sat down and helped me find the error in my code. A surgeon who could read JavaScript, I was done for. Emma smiled at the image. Love at first sight? Love at first argument, more like. She told me my code was inefficient. I told her she was wrong. We spent 3 hours debating until the shop closed. I asked her to dinner just to continue the fight. Lily returned with the dog, settling between them. She'd been drawing while they talked, a picture of a woman with dark hair and scrubs holding a small heart in her hands. That's Mama, Daniel said softly. You remember her fixing hearts? Lily nodded, then drew another figure, blonde, holding a different kind of heart. Not anatomical, but the classic symbol. She pointed at Emma. Different hearts, Daniel murmured. Sophie fixes different hearts. Emma's eyes burned with tears she couldn't shed. Not here, not now. Her phone buzzed. A text from Sophie, the real Sophie. Mother says you got me a job? With Daniel Cross? The Daniel Cross? Don't mess this up for me. Then another from Margaret. Sophie ran into an old friend from nursing school. Might stop by the Cross house later to check on things. Be ready. Panic shot through Emma. I need to use the restroom, she managed. In the bathroom, she called Margaret, hands shaking. You can't let Sophie come here, please. Then get the money, today. Sophie's already suspicious about why you're using her name. I'll get it, just keep her away. You have until 5 o'clock. Emma splashed water on her face, trying to calm down. When she returned, Daniel was paying the check. Actually, Emma said, heart pounding, I need to discuss something with you, about payment. Daniel looked surprised. Of course. The agency handles that, don't they? Yes, but there's been a mix-up with my direct deposit. Would it be possible to get a partial payment in cash, just until the banking sorts out? It was clumsy, obvious, and she saw a flicker of something in Daniel's eyes. But Lily was tugging his sleeve, pointing at the pet store next door. Of course, he said slowly. How much do you need? 2,000? The number made her feel sick. I'll pay it back when the deposit clears. Sophie, you've given me back my daughter's voice. Don't insult either of us by talking about paying anything back. He pulled out his phone, texting someone. I'll have James bring it to the house this afternoon. The rest of the day felt like walking on glass. Every time Daniel looked at her, she wondered if he suspected. Every time Lily smiled, she felt like a thief stealing moments that weren't hers. At 4:30, James arrived with an envelope. Emma's hands shook taking it. Thank you, she managed. Daniel was in his office on a call. Lily was napping. Emma wrote a quick note saying she had to run an errand and would be back for dinner, then slipped out. She met Margaret at a coffee shop downtown, sliding the envelope across the table. All of it? Margaret's eyes gleamed. All of it. Good, Sophie's been pacified, for now. Margaret counted the bills. But this isn't sustainable, Emma. That man is getting attached, the child too. What happens when they find out? They won't. Everyone finds out eventually. And when they do, you'll be the one who pays. Not Sophie, not me, you. Margaret left with the money. Emma sat in the growing darkness, knowing she was right. This couldn't last. But the thought of leaving Lily, of abandoning that little girl who was just finding her voice again. Her phone rang. Daniel. Where are you? His voice was tight with worry. Lily woke up and you were gone. She's hysterical. Emma could hear Lily crying in the background. Not silent tears, but actual sobs. Vocal sobs. The first sounds she'd made in 2 years. I'm coming. I'm so sorry. 10 minutes. She ran most of the way, bursting through the door to find Lily curled in Daniel's arms, hiccuping through tears, repeatedly making a sound that might have been no, or might have been pure grief. The moment she saw Emma, Lily launched herself at her, wrapping arms and legs around her like a koala, sobbing into her neck. Shh, sweetheart, I'm here. I just had to run an errand. I'm here. Lily pulled back, her face red and swollen and clear as day. In a voice hoarse from disuse but absolutely real, she said, Don't. Leave. Me. The first full words she'd spoken in 2 years. Daniel made a sound like he'd been punched. Emma held Lily tighter, tears streaming down her face. Never, she whispered, even though it was another lie. I'll never leave you. Lily stared at her for a long moment, then spoke again, each word careful and precious. Promise, like, Mama, promised. The words hung in the air like an accusation and a plea. Claire had promised not to leave, and death had broken that promise. Now, Lily was asking Emma to make the same impossible vow. Emma looked at Daniel over Lily's head. His face was a storm of emotions, joy at hearing his daughter's voice, pain at her words, and something else. Suspicion? Or just fear of hoping too much? Some promises, Emma said carefully, are about trying our very hardest. I promised to try my very hardest to stay. It wasn't enough. She could see it in Lily's eyes, but the little girl nodded and spoke once more. Scared. I know, baby. Me too. The admission slipped out before Emma could stop it. Daniel stepped closer, wrapping both of them in his arms, and for a moment, Emma let herself feel it. The warmth, the safety, the illusion of family. But even as Lily's breathing calmed, even as Daniel murmured, "Thank you," over and over, Emma knew the truth was closing in. Sophie might come by, unannounced. Mrs. Hamilton might check credentials. Margaret might demand more money. The cracks were starting to show, and when this perfect illusion shattered, everyone would bleed from the broken pieces, especially the little girl who just found her voice, only to trust it to someone who was living a lie. That night, as Emma tucked Lily into bed, the little girl spoke one more time. Love, you, Sophie. The wrong name attached to the right feeling, and Emma's heart shattered completely. She kissed Lily's forehead, unable to speak past the guilt closing her throat. In the hallway, Daniel waited. Sophie, we need to talk. Her blood went cold. This was it. He knew. I want to increase your hours, he said instead. Move you in full-time, permanently. Whatever the agency is paying you, I'll triple it. I can't lose you. Lily can't lose you. Emma stared at him. This good man offering her everything she'd ever wanted. Everything she could never have. Everything that wasn't really hers. Can I think about it? She whispered. Of course. But Sophie? He stepped closer, his hand touching her arm gently. Whatever's troubling you, whatever made you run out today looking terrified, you can tell me. We're becoming family, aren't we? Family. The word she'd craved her whole life, offered by someone who didn't even know her real name. Yes, she said, because that, at least, was true. We are. Oh. Thursday morning arrived with deceptive calm. Emma woke to find Lily already in her room, sitting on the floor with her drawing pad, working intently on something. The little girl looked up when Emma stirred, offering a shy smile. Morning, sweetheart, Emma said softly. What are you drawing? Lily held up the picture, 3 figures in wedding clothes, standing under an arch of flowers. The tallest figure in a suit, the medium one in a white dress, the smallest in a flower girl outfit. Above them, she'd written in careful letters, New family. Emma's heart stuttered. Oh, Lily. Daddy loves you, Lily said, her voice still raspy but getting stronger. Each word was carefully pronounced, like precious stones being offered. I see him looking. Before Emma could respond, her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number with a photo attached. Emma opened it, and her blood turned to ice. It was a picture of her real nursing license, or rather, her lack of one. Sophie's actual credentials were displayed next to Emma's driver's license. The message read, "I know who you really are. Meet me at the Starbucks on Pine Street in 1 hour, or I send this to Daniel Cross." Emma's hands shook. Lily noticed immediately, crawling into her lap. "Scared?" the little girl asked. "A little," Emma admitted. Help," Lily said firmly, wrapping her small arms around Emma's neck. The pure trust in that gesture made Emma want to sob. Instead, she held Lily close, memorizing the feeling, knowing everything was about to fall apart. "I have to go out for a bit," Emma said, "but I'll be back." Lily pulled back, studying her face with those two knowing eyes. "Promise?" Emma couldn't make her voice work, so she just nodded. Downstairs, Daniel was making coffee, humming something under his breath. He looked up when they entered, his face lighting up in a way that made Emma's chest ache. "There are my girls," he said, then caught himself, color rising in his cheeks. "I mean, Daddy's girls," Lily announced proudly, climbing onto a kitchen stool. Daniel's eyes met Emma's over Lily's head, a question in them. Emma looked away. "I need to run an errand," she said. "Just an hour." Something flickered in Daniel's expression. "Another errand? Sophie, if something's wrong—" "Everything's fine," she lied. "Is it about money? Because if you need—" "No," Emma said too quickly. "No, it's not that. I'll be back soon." She left before he could ask more questions, before Lily could ask for another promise, before her resolve could crumble entirely. The Starbucks was crowded with morning commuters. Emma spotted her immediately. Mrs. Hamilton from the school, sitting in a corner booth with a triumphant expression. "Miss Hayes," she said as Emma sat down. "Or should I say, Miss— what is your real name?" "Emma," she whispered. "Emma Hayes. But not Sophie Hayes, the registered nurse with pediatric specializations. That would be your stepsister, according to my research." Emma's hands clenched in her lap. "What do you want?" "Direct. I like that." Mrs. Hamilton stirred her latte slowly. "You see, I knew something was off about you. Your answers during the tour, the way you deflected specific questions. So, I did some digging. Imagine my surprise when I found the real Sophie Hayes posting on Instagram from a yacht party the very day you were touring our school." "Please," Emma started, but Mrs. Hamilton held up a hand. "I'm not interested in your sob story. What I'm interested in is protecting that poor child from further trauma. Lily Cross has been through enough without adding deception and abandonment to her list of wounds." "I would never hurt Lily." "You already are. Every day you lie to her is a hurt that will eventually surface." "And Daniel?" Mrs. Hamilton's eyes glittered. "That man lost his wife, nearly lost his daughter to grief, and you're playing house with his emotions? It's not like that, isn't it? I've seen the way he looks at you, the way that child clings to you. You've inserted yourself into a vulnerable family under false pretenses. That's predatory, Miss Emma." Emma felt tears building. "I never meant for it to go this far." "They never do." Mrs. Hamilton pulled out her phone. "I have Daniel's number right here. One call, and this ends. Unless—" Emma looked up sharply. "Unless?" "You leave, today. No explanation, no goodbye that might traumatize the child further. You simply disappear. Let them think you're unreliable rather than a fraud. It's the kindest thing. Lily just started talking again. If I disappear, she'll be hurt, but she'll heal. Children are resilient. If you stay and the truth comes out, the betrayal will be far worse. Trust broken at that level doesn't recover." Emma's phone buzzed. A text from Lily? She'd learned to text simple messages. Just 3 words. "Miss you already." "I can't," Emma whispered. "I can't just leave her." "Then I make the call." Mrs. Hamilton's finger hovered over Daniel's contact. "Wait." Emma's mind raced. "Give me the day. Let me make it easier somehow. I'll leave tonight, but let me prepare her." Mrs. Hamilton considered. "You have until 8 p.m. If you're still there when I check, I tell him everything. And Emma, I'll be watching. Don't try to run with them or convince them to leave. This ends with you gone, period." She left Emma sitting there, shaking. Emma's phone rang immediately. Daniel. "Hey, Lily's asking when you'll be back. She wants to show you something she wrote. She wrote something? A whole sentence. Emma makes me brave. She's so proud of herself. The knife in Emma's chest twisted deeper. I'll be there soon. When she arrived back at the house, she found Daniel and Lily in the music room, a space she'd never seen them use before. Lily was sitting at a dusty piano, carefully picking out notes. Mama played, Lily explained when she saw Emma. Teaching, Daddy. Daniel's hands were positioned awkwardly on the keys. I'm terrible at this. Claire tried to teach me for years. He looked up at Emma. Do you play? Emma nodded slowly. She'd learned on an old upright at the community center, one of the few escapes from Margaret's house. She sat beside Lily on the bench. What would you like to hear? Mama's song, Lily said immediately. Daniel sucked in a breath. Lily, we don't know if Sophie knows. But Emma's fingers were already finding the opening notes of River Flows in You. Somehow she'd known. The sheet music on the stand, worn from use, confirmed it. As she played, Lily leaned against her side. Daniel moved to stand behind them, his hand resting on Emma's shoulder. For a moment, it was perfect, the music filling the space where words couldn't go, binding them together in shared memory and present comfort. When the last note faded, Lily turned and wrapped her arms around Emma's waist. Stay. Forever. Please. Emma looked up at Daniel, who was watching her with an expression she couldn't bear to decode. Lily, sweetheart, Emma began carefully. Sometimes people can't stay forever, even when they want to. Lily's arms tightened. Like, Mama? No, not like... Emma stopped. Everything was like that, wasn't it? Promises broken by circumstance, love interrupted by reality. Sophie's not going anywhere, Daniel said firmly, but there was a question in his eyes as he looked at her. Are you? Emma's phone buzzed. Mrs. Hamilton. 5 hours left. I'm here now, Emma said, which wasn't really an answer. The rest of the day took on a desperate quality, though only Emma knew why. She memorized everything, the way Lily hummed while drawing, how Daniel's eyes crinkled when he really smiled, the sound of their laughter mixing together over lunch. She taught Lily to make paper cranes, helped Daniel with his piano fingering, made their favorite dinner. With every passing hour, she felt like she was attending her own wake, present for the mourning of something that hadn't quite died yet. After dinner, Daniel pulled her aside while Lily was engrossed in a puzzle. Sophie, something's been wrong all day. Please talk to me. Emma looked at him, this good, kind man who'd trusted her with his broken daughter, who was looking at her now, like she held answers to questions he was afraid to ask. Daniel, what if I told you I wasn't who you thought I was? His forehead creased. What do you mean? What if the person who helped Lily, who's been living in your house, who you've trusted, what if she wasn't the person you were told she was? Daniel stepped closer. Sophie, you're scaring me. Sophie, still Sophie. Even now, when she was trying to tell him, he couldn't see past the lie to the truth underneath. I want you to know that everything I feel for you and Lily, that's real. Whatever else, that's real. Daniel caught her hands. Sophie, stop. Whatever's wrong, we can fix it. Together. The three of us. Lily appeared in the doorway. Story? Time? Emma's heart shattered. Yes, sweetheart. Story time. She told Lily a story that night about a girl who had to go on a journey, who loved the people she left behind more than all the stars in the sky, who would think of them always even from far away. Sad. Story, Lily said when it was done. Sometimes sad stories are important too, Emma said, smoothing her hair. But happy. Ending? Lily asked hopefully. Emma kissed her forehead instead of answering. At 7:45, Emma stood in her room, the guest room, never really hers, packing the few things she'd brought. She left the clothes Daniel had bought her, the jewelry Lily had made her, everything that belonged to this life that wasn't hers. She wrote 2 letters. One for Daniel, explaining everything, begging him to forgive her, to not let this break Lily's trust in people. One for Lily, simpler, full of love, and promises to always remember her. At 7:55, she stood in Lily's doorway, watching her sleep. The little girl clutched the paper crane Emma had made her, holding it like a talisman. I'm so sorry, Emma whispered. She made it to the front door before Daniel's voice stopped her. Going somewhere? He stood at the bottom of the stairs, still in his work clothes, holding his phone. On the screen was an email from Mrs. Hamilton, sent at exactly 8 p.m. Mr. Cross, there's something you need to know about your nurse. Emma's knees nearly buckled. Daniel, I can explain. You're not Sophie Hayes. His voice was deadly quiet. You're Emma Hayes, her stepsister. You have no nursing degree, no qualifications. Everything you told me was a lie. Not everything. Were you even going to say goodbye? He stepped closer, and she could see the devastation in his eyes. Or were you just going to disappear? Let Lily wake up to another person who abandoned her? Mrs. Hamilton said it would be better. Mrs. Hamilton? He laughed bitterly. You're taking advice from that woman about my daughter? She was going to tell you. She did tell me. And you know what? I don't care. Emma froze. What? I don't care that you're not a nurse. I don't care that your name is Emma. I care that you were going to leave, that you were going to sneak out like a thief in the night and break my daughter's heart. I was trying to protect her. From what? From you, the only person who's made her feel safe since her mother died? From the lie, Emma shouted, then immediately lowered her voice, afraid of waking Lily. Don't you understand? Everything is built on a lie. When Lily finds out what? That the woman who taught her to speak again, who held her through nightmares, who made our house feel like home again. That woman's name is Emma instead of Sophie? You think she cares? It's fraud. I could go to jail. Only if I press charges, which I won't. Emma stared at him. Why? Daniel ran his hands through his hair, looking suddenly exhausted. Because I knew. The words hung between them like a physical thing. You... What? Not at first, but after a few days, I had my suspicions. You couldn't answer basic medical questions. You had no hospital ID. You were too real, too genuine. Every other nurse was clinical, professional. You were just you. How long have you known? I confirmed it 3 days ago, did a background check, found out about Margaret, about Sophie, about your father dying when you were 14, your mother when you were 18. Found out you've been living like a servant in your own family home, that you work 3 jobs to pay for a roof over your head in a house your father left to you. Emma sank onto the bottom stair, legs unable to hold her. You've known for 3 days? I was waiting for you to tell me. I thought we were building something real, despite how it started. Daniel? Daddy? A small voice from the top of the stairs. Emma? Lily stood there in her dinosaur pajamas, holding her paper crane, looking between them with growing alarm. Emma? Leaving? She started down the stairs, her voice rising. Emma? Leaving? Lily, sweetheart, Emma started. No! Lily screamed, the word ripping from her throat. No! 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 She flew down the stairs, throwing herself at Emma, wrapping arms and legs around her, sobbing with her whole body. You promised! You promised! Emma held her, her own tears falling. I'm sorry, baby. I'm so sorry. I thought you were different, Daniel said quietly, and the disappointment in his voice was worse than anger would have been. I thought you understood what promises mean to her. I do. Then stay. Emma looked up at him through her tears. What? Stay. Not as Sophie, as Emma, as yourself. Stay because Lily needs you. Because He stopped, jaw clenching. Because this house is better with you in it. Your family will judge you, your friends. Everyone will know you were fooled. I wasn't fooled. I made a choice. I'm still making it. He knelt beside them, his hand on Lily's shaking back. Choose us, Emma. Choose to stay. Lily pulled back, her face swollen and red, and looked Emma in the eyes. Please, Emma, please stay with us. She'd used her real name. Somehow she'd heard, understood, and chosen to ask for Emma, not Sophie. Emma looked between them, this broken, healing family that was offering her everything she'd ever wanted, not despite the truth, but because of it. I don't deserve. Love isn't about deserving, Daniel said softly. Claire taught me that. Love is about choosing again and again, especially when it's hard. Mrs. Hamilton's voice echoed in her mind. Trust broken at that level doesn't recover. But looking at Lily's desperate, loving face, at Daniel's open, terrified hope, Emma thought maybe Mrs. Hamilton was wrong. Maybe trust wasn't about never falling. Maybe it was about choosing to catch each other when you did. Okay, she whispered. Okay, Lily repeated hopefully. I'll stay. Lily collapsed against her, exhausted from the emotional storm. Daniel's hand found Emma's, squeezing tightly. No more lies, he said quietly. From either of us. No more lies, Emma agreed. They sat there on the stairs, the three of them tangled together, as the clock passed 8, past 9, past the deadline for leaving. Outside, Mrs. Hamilton sat in her car, watching the lights stay on in the cross house. She'd expected Emma to run, expected Daniel to rage, expected the whole thing to collapse as it should when built on deception. Instead, she saw shadows moving together in the lit windows, saw them settle in the living room, saw what looked like a family choosing each other, despite everything. She drove away, unsettled by the realization that perhaps some lies were just truth wearing the wrong name, and some families were made not by perfection, but by the choice to stay when leaving would be easier. Inside the house, Emma helped Daniel carry a sleeping Lily to bed. As they tucked her in, Lily mumbled sleepily but clearly, Emma, my Emma. Yes, sweetheart, Emma whispered. You're Emma. Always. Daniel caught her hand as they left Lily's room. We have a lot to talk about. I know. Margaret will be a problem. Sophie, too. I know. I don't care. Emma looked at him, this man who'd seen through her deception and chosen to keep her anyway. Why? She asked again. Because Lily loves you. Because you love her. Because I... He stopped, then seemed to gather courage. Because I'm falling in love with you. Not Sophie. You. Emma. The truth finally. All of it. Messy and complicated and real. I'm falling in love with you too, Emma admitted. I have been since that first night. Then we'll figure out the rest, Daniel said simply. Together. The peace lasted exactly 36 hours. Emma had just finished making Saturday morning pancakes. A ritual now, one that made Lily bounce with joy, when the doorbell rang with aggressive insistence. Through the security monitor, she could see Margaret and Sophie standing outside, Margaret's face set in determined lines, Sophie looking sullen and hungover. I'll get it, Daniel said, but Emma caught his arm. They're my family. We'll go together, he said firmly. Lily, sweetheart, why don't you take your pancakes to the playroom, watch some cartoons? Lily looked between them with worried eyes. Bad people? Just people we need to talk to, Emma said gently. We'll be right here. As soon as they opened the door, Margaret pushed inside, without invitation, Sophie trailing behind. So it's true, Margaret said, taking in Emma's comfortable clothes, her ease in this space. You're still here, still pretending. She's not pretending anything, Daniel said coldly. You're trespassing. I'll ask you once to leave. Margaret laughed sharply. Oh, he doesn't know, does he? Emma, you didn't tell him everything? Emma's stomach dropped. Margaret, did you tell him about the theft charges? The reason you couldn't leave my house even if you wanted to? Daniel went still beside her. What theft charges? There are no charges, Emma said quickly. She threatened. I had evidence, Margaret interrupted. My mother's jewelry, missing, found in Emma's room. I chose not to press charges out of kindness as long as she remained grateful and helpful. You planted that jewelry, Emma's voice cracked. You know I never... Do I? Does he? Margaret turned to Daniel. How well do you really know her? This girl who lied about her name, her credentials, everything? Sophie finally spoke, her voice whiny. She stole my job, my reputation. The agency fired me when they found out what she did. What Emma did? Daniel's voice was dangerously quiet. Or what you did, sending her in your place. Sophie had the grace to look uncomfortable. She didn't have to go. Leave, Daniel said flatly. Both of you, now. Not without compensation, Margaret said smoothly. Emma impersonated a licensed professional. That's fraud, criminal fraud. Unless, of course, we come to an arrangement. You're trying to blackmail me? I'm trying to protect my family's reputation. Sophie's career is ruined. Emma's actions have consequences. $50,000 seems reasonable for our silence. Emma felt the blood drain from her face. Margaret, please, or we go to the police. Today. Imagine the headlines. Tech billionaire harbors fraud nurse. How will that affect your precious company's IPO, Mr. Cross? Before Daniel could respond, a small voice cut through the tension. You're mean. Lily stood in the doorway, syrup still on her chin, her little face set in fierce determination. Lily, go back to the playroom, Emma said quickly. But Lily walked forward, placing herself between Emma and Margaret. You're mean to Emma, always mean. Margaret's eyes narrowed. Listen, you little... No! Lily's voice rose. You, listen, Emma, good. Emma, kind. Emma, saved. Me. Lily, sweetheart, Daniel started. But Lily wasn't done. The words poured out, halting but passionate. Emma came when I was broken. Emma stayed when I was scared. Emma loves me. Real love, not pretend. She turned to Margaret, her small body shaking with anger. You pretend, you lie, you hurt. Emma always hurt. How dare you? Margaret stepped forward, and Daniel moved swiftly, putting himself between Margaret and his daughter. Touch her, threaten her, even look at her wrong, and I will end you, he said, his voice lethal. I have lawyers who eat people like you for breakfast. I have resources you can't imagine, and I have evidence. Margaret faltered. What evidence? Daniel pulled out his phone. Every text you sent Emma threatening her, every demand for money. Emma recorded your phone calls. Did you know that? One-party consent state, completely legal. I have 3 days of recordings where you explicitly detail how you forced Emma to impersonate Sophie. It was a bluff. Emma hadn't recorded anything, but Margaret didn't know that. You're lying, Margaret said, but uncertainty crept into her voice. Try me. I also have Sophie's Instagram posts from the yacht party, time-stamped while she was supposedly working here. I have the bar receipts from that night, credit card records, and I have a forensic accountant who would love to look into where Emma's father's life insurance money actually went. Margaret went pale. You wouldn't... I would. I will, unless you walk out that door and never contact Emma again. She owes us. She owes you nothing. Daniel's voice was steel. You stole her inheritance. You made her a servant in her own father's house. You psychologically abused her for years. If anyone owes anyone, it's you who owe her. But she's too good to demand it. Sophie tugged on Margaret's arm. Mom, let's just go. This isn't over, Margaret hissed. Yes, it is, Emma said quietly, speaking for the first time since Lily's outburst. I'm done, Margaret. Done apologizing for existing. Done paying for shelter in my father's house. Done being grateful for scraps of dignity. She walked to the door and opened it wide. Leave. Don't come back. Don't contact me. If you try to hurt this family, I'll fight back. And I won't fight alone anymore. Margaret looked between them, Daniel standing protective and immovable, Lily glaring with innocent ferocity. Emma finally standing straight, and recognized defeat. You'll regret this, she said, but it sounded hollow. After they left, Emma sank onto the couch, shaking. Lily immediately crawled into her lap, wrapping small arms around her neck. Emma, brave. Now, she whispered. You made me brave, sweetheart. Daniel sat beside them, pulling both into his arms. Is it true? About the jewelry? She planted it, Emma said tiredly. My grandmother's necklace that my father had kept. Margaret found it in my room after it went missing from her jewelry box. She'd moved it there herself, but who would believe me? I believe you, Lily said firmly. Always. Believe Emma. Daniel's phone rang. He looked at the screen and frowned. It's Richard Chen, my lawyer. On a Saturday? He answered, his face growing increasingly serious as he listened. I see. Yes. We'll come immediately. He hung up, looking stunned. That was about Claire's mother. She's here, in Seattle. She wants to see Lily. Emma felt Lily go rigid in her arms. Grandma, Eleanor, the little girl whispered. You remember her? Daniel asked gently. Lily nodded slowly. Went. Away. When? Mama. Went. Away. Daniel's jaw tightened. She left after the funeral, said it was too painful to see Lily, that she reminded her too much of Claire. She hasn't contacted us once in 2 years. Why now? Emma asked. Richard says she heard about Lily talking again and, he hesitated, about you. She's concerned about who's caring for her granddaughter. The implication was clear. Another battle, just when they'd won the first. When does she want to meet? Now, she's at Richard's office. Emma started to stand. I'll stay here. No, Daniel and Lily said in unison. Emma comes, Lily insisted. Need, Emma. Daniel nodded. We face this together. An hour later, they sat in a law office conference room, Lily pressed tightly between Daniel and Emma. Across from them sat Eleanor Martinez, a refined woman in her 60s with Claire's dark hair and sharp eyes, accompanied by a younger man in an expensive suit. My granddaughter speaks, Eleanor said without preamble, her eyes fixed on Lily. After 2 years of silence, she suddenly speaks. That seems miraculous. Emma, Lily started, but Eleanor cut her off. Yes, I've heard all about Emma. The woman with no qualifications who's been living in my son-in-law's house, playing mother to my grandchild. No one's playing anything, Daniel said tightly. Eleanor's lawyer, she'd brought her own lawyer, cleared his throat. Mrs. Martinez has concerns about the environment Lily is in. A woman who impersonated a nurse, who has no legal standing, no formal relationship to the family. Emma is family, Lily said loudly. Eleanor's eyes softened slightly, looking at her granddaughter, then hardened again. She's a stranger who lied her way into your home. She brought Lily back to us, Daniel said. That's all that matters. Is it? What happens when she leaves? When she moves on to her next mark? What happens to Lily then? Emma won't leave, Lily said, but uncertainty crept into her voice. Will you? Emma took her hand. Never by choice, sweetheart. Choice, Eleanor laughed bitterly. Claire didn't choose to leave either, did she? But she's still gone. The room went silent. Eleanor's pain was naked, raw, filling the space. I failed, she continued more quietly. I couldn't. After Claire died, I couldn't look at Lily without seeing my daughter. Hearing that she'd stopped talking, I thought it was better to stay away. Let her forget me like she seemed to forget everything else. She didn't forget, Daniel said. She just couldn't speak the pain. Eleanor looked at Emma directly for the first time. And you fixed that? How? Emma met her gaze steadily. I didn't fix anything. I just stayed. I listened to the silence. I waited. I loved her without conditions or expectations. Loved her? You've known her what, 2 weeks? Time doesn't determine love, Emma said softly. Connection does. Understanding does. Choosing does. I chose Lily. More importantly, she chose me. That's not enough. Daniel, be reasonable. You need someone qualified, someone stable. Someone like you. Daniel's voice cut sharply. Where were you when Lily woke up screaming every night? Where were you when she stopped eating, stopped playing, stopped being a child? Emma was here. Emma brought her back. Eleanor flinched. I couldn't, but Emma could and did. Lily stood up suddenly, walking around the table to her grandmother. Eleanor tensed, but Lily reached out, taking her hand gently. Hurts, Lily said simply. Missing, Mama, hurts, you, too. Eleanor's composure cracked, tears spilling. Yes, baby. It hurts so much. Emma helps hurt less. Lily looked at her seriously. Emma, stay, please, let. Emma, stay. Eleanor looked at her granddaughter, really looked at her, speaking, engaged, reaching out with empathy despite her own pain. Then she looked at Emma, who was watching Lily with such protective love, it was almost painful to witness. You really love her, Eleanor said, not quite a question. More than I have words for, Emma answered. And when Daniel wants to make this arrangement more formal, what then? Daniel spoke up. Then I'll make it formal, if Emma will have us. Emma's breath caught. Eleanor's lawyer started to protest, but she held up a hand, silencing him. Claire would have liked you, she told Emma unexpectedly. She always rooted for the underdog, always saw potential where others saw problems. She stood, and Lily immediately wrapped arms around her waist. Eleanor held her granddaughter carefully, like she was made of spun glass. "I'm sorry I left," she whispered into Lily's hair. "I'm so sorry." "Come back?" Lily asked hopefully. "If your father allows it. If Emma doesn't mind sharing you." Emma stood as well. "Lily has room for all the people who love her. She shouldn't have to choose." Eleanor studied her for a long moment, then extended her hand. "I'd like to start over. Properly this time." Emma shook her hand, feeling the tremor in the older woman's grip. As they prepared to leave, Eleanor's lawyer pulled Daniel aside. Emma could hear fragments. Custody evaluation, best interests, formal adoption proceedings. Daniel's response was clear. "I'll adopt Emma myself, if that's what it takes to make her legally family." The words carried, and Lily gasped with delight. "Adopt! Emma! Yes, please!" Emma felt her face burn, but Daniel just smiled. "We'll talk about it at home." Home. The words settled around her like a blanket. The ride back was quiet until Lily spoke. "Grandma, sad? Like us before?" "Yes," Daniel agreed. "But maybe she can heal too, like we did." "With Emma," Lily said confidently. Emma reached back to squeeze her hand. "With all of us." That evening, after Lily was asleep, Daniel found Emma on the terrace, looking out at the city lights. "Hell of a day," he said, handing her a glass of wine. "Your mother-in-law thinks I'm after your money. My lawyer thinks we should get married to solve the legal complications." Emma nearly choked on her wine. "What?" "I told him that was insulting. When I propose to you, and I will, Emma, it won't be for legal convenience." "When?" she whispered. He turned to face her fully. "I know it's only been 2 weeks. I know that's insane by any normal standard. But nothing about this has been normal. You walked into our lives as a lie and became the truest thing in them." "Daniel, I'm not proposing now. We need time. Lily needs stability. You need to believe you deserve this. But Emma, I need you to know. This isn't temporary for me. You're not a convenient solution to Lily's problems. You're—" "What?" she asked when he trailed off. "You're the woman who made me believe in after again. After loss, after grief, after Claire." Emma set down her wine and moved closer. "You made me believe in belonging, in being chosen, in being enough. You were always enough. You just needed people who could see it." They stood there, close but not quite touching, the city spreading below them like a promise. "So what now?" Emma asked. "Now we do it right, no lies, no secrets. I want to date you properly. Take you to dinner without Lily sometimes. Learn your middle name. Meet the friends Margaret never let you have. Show you that this, us, exists beyond crisis and need." Emma's eyes filled. "I don't know how to do that. I only know how to survive. Then we'll learn together how to live instead of just survive." Inside, they heard Lily call out, not in distress, just checking they were still there. "We should," Emma started. "Together," Daniel agreed. They found Lily sitting up in bed, clutching her paper crane. "Bad dream?" "No," she said, smiling sleepily. "Good dream. About tomorrow." "What about tomorrow?" Emma asked, smoothing her hair. "Family, day, all together." Emma and Daniel exchanged glances over her head. Family. The word that had haunted Emma her whole life, now offered freely by a 5-year-old who'd chosen to speak again, just to claim her. "Yes," Daniel said firmly. "Family day, all together." As they tucked Lily back in, she spoke once more. "Emma, Daniel, Lily, family." 3 names, no lies between them, just truth, messy and complicated and absolutely perfect. 2 weeks had passed since the confrontation with Margaret and Eleanor's unexpected visit. Life had settled into a rhythm that felt both foreign and perfectly right to Emma. She'd officially moved into the Cross House, not as a nurse, not as staff, but as Emma. Just Emma. But on this gray Tuesday morning, Daniel was away on a business trip to San Francisco, and the house felt too large, too quiet despite Lily's cheerful presence. They were painting in the sunroom when Emma's phone rang with an unknown number. "Hello? Emma Hayes?" The voice was official, cold. "This is Detective Morrison with Seattle PD. We need you to come to the station regarding allegations of fraud and identity theft." Emma's blood turned to ice. When? Immediately. And Ms. Hayes, you might want to bring a lawyer. Her hands shook as she ended the call. Margaret. It had to be Margaret. Emma? Scared? Lily asked, paintbrush suspended midair. A little bit, Emma admitted, trying to keep her voice steady. I need to make some calls. Can you keep painting? She called Daniel first, but it went to voicemail. He was probably in meetings. She left a brief message, trying not to sound panicked. Then she called Richard Chen, Daniel's lawyer. They can't arrest you without evidence, Richard said calmly. But you should go. I'll meet you there. And Emma, don't answer anything without me present. Mrs. Chen arrived to watch Lily, and Emma tried to leave without the little girl noticing. But Lily caught her at the door. Where? Going? Just some grown-up errands. I'll be back soon. Lily studied her face with those knowing eyes. Promise? Emma hugged her tightly, unable to make promises she might not be able to keep. I love you, sweetheart. Love you more. The police station was a harsh awakening from the warm cocoon of the Cross House. Detective Morrison was a tired-looking woman in her 50s who seemed more annoyed than anything else. Ms. Hayes, we've received a formal complaint alleging you impersonated a licensed nurse, committed fraud, and potentially endangered a minor child. Richard arrived just as she was about to respond, impeccable even at short notice. My client won't be answering questions without reviewing the specific allegations, he said smoothly. The detective pushed a folder across the table. Inside were photos. Emma at the Cross House, copied text messages, even a blurry photo of her accepting cash from Daniel. Your sister Sophie Hayes claims you stole her identity to gain access to a wealthy family. She says you've done this before. That's a lie, Emma said before Richard could stop her. She provided documentation of previous incidents, jewelry theft from your stepmother, forged references for jobs. None of that is true. Richard placed a calming hand on her arm. What evidence supports these claims beyond Ms. Sophie Hayes' testimony? The detective looked uncomfortable. We're investigating. Mr. Cross has been unreachable, but when we speak to him... Mr. Cross is fully aware of the situation, Richard interrupted. He's prepared a statement. Has he? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like your client targeted a vulnerable family. The door burst open. Daniel stood there, still in his travel clothes, eyes blazing. Are you arresting her? He demanded. Mr. Cross, we're conducting an investigation, based on lies from a bitter woman who's trying to extort money from me. He pulled out his phone, showing recordings. 3 days ago, Margaret Hayes attempted to blackmail me. When I refused, she said she'd make Emma pay. This is retaliation, nothing more. The detective examined the recordings, her expression shifting. Why didn't you report this? I'm reporting it now. I want to press charges against Margaret and Sophie Hayes for extortion, harassment, and filing false police reports. Mr. Cross, the detective said carefully, regardless of their motivations, did Ms. Emma Hayes impersonate a nurse in your home? Daniel was quiet for a moment, then sat down beside Emma, taking her hand. Emma Hayes came to my home during a storm. My daughter, who hadn't spoken in 2 years after her mother's death, took one look at Emma and grabbed her hand. Within days, she was speaking again. Within weeks, she was laughing again. Emma didn't impersonate anyone. She was exactly who she claimed to be, someone who wanted to help. But she was hired as a nurse. She was never hired. There was no contract, no formal employment. She was a family friend helping with my daughter. Any money exchanged was a gift, freely given. The detective looked between them. Is that your story? That's the truth, Daniel said firmly. Richard produced a stack of documents. Letters from Lily's teachers, therapists, and doctors, all attesting to her remarkable improvement since Emma's arrival. Security footage showing Sophie Hayes was never at the Cross residence. Bank records proving Margaret Hayes has been stealing Emma's inheritance for years. You came prepared, the detective noted. I protect my family, Daniel said simply, squeezing Emma's hand. The detective sighed. Ms. Hayes, were you hired under false pretenses as a nurse? Emma looked at Daniel, then at Richard, who nodded slightly. I went to the house that first night because I was told to. My stepsister was supposed to go, but wanted to party instead. I never said I was a nurse. I never provided medical care. I was just there for Lily. And Mr. Cross knew? I knew she wasn't Sophie within days, Daniel confirmed. I chose to let her stay because my daughter needed her, because we both did. The detective closed the file. Without evidence of actual fraud or harm, and with Mr. Cross's statement, we have no grounds to hold Ms. Hayes. But, Ms. Emma, a word of advice: get your own lawyer. Your stepfamily won't stop here. Outside the station, Emma's legs nearly gave out. Daniel caught her, pulling her against him. "I've got you," he murmured. "I've got you." "How did you know?" "Mrs. Chen called me. I was already at the airport for my flight home when Richard texted. I chartered a plane." "You chartered a plane?" "I'd charter a rocket if that's what it took to get to you." Emma laughed through her tears, then sobered. "Margaret won't stop. She'll keep trying to hurt us. Then we'll stop her first." Daniel's face was determined. "Richard, I want a restraining order, and I want to pursue the theft charges, the inheritance, Emma's father's life insurance, all of it." "Daniel, no. That could take years, cost thousands." "Emma," he turned to face her fully. "They stole your childhood. They stole your inheritance. They tried to steal your freedom today. No more." His phone rang. Mrs. Chen, frantic. "Mr. Cross, Lily's gone. She was in the sunroom and then I can't find her anywhere." The world tilted. Emma grabbed Daniel's phone. "When? How long?" "Maybe 20 minutes. I was cleaning, she was painting, and then—" "We're coming." They raced home, Daniel breaking every speed limit. Emma's mind spun with terrible possibilities. Had Margaret taken her? Had Lily run away? They burst into the house to find Mrs. Chen in tears, security guards searching the grounds. But Emma went straight to Lily's room, to the window covered in drawings. There, in the corner where the drawings were thickest, she saw it. A small gap where the window was open just enough for a tiny body to squeeze through. The roof of the first-floor extension was right below. "She's on the roof," Emma said, already climbing through. "Emma, wait." But she was already outside, rain starting to fall, making the surface slippery. There, at the far edge where the big oak tree grew close, sat Lily, soaked and shivering, clutching something to her chest. "Lily, sweetheart, don't move." Lily turned, her face streaked with tears and rain. "Emma, you came back." "Of course I came back. Why are you out here?" "Went to police, saw, on Mrs. Chen's phone." Lily held up what she'd been clutching. A manila envelope, wet but intact. "Needed to help." Emma carefully made her way across the slippery roof. "What is that, baby?" "Evidence," Lily said solemnly. "Recorded Margaret being mean." Emma reached her, pulling her into her arms. "You recorded Margaret on tablet when she came that day." Lily pulled out a small tablet from the envelope, miraculously dry inside a plastic bag. "Daddy taught me about cloud backup." Daniel appeared through the window, his face white with terror that shifted to relief when he saw them. "Lily Cross," he said, his voice shaking, "you scared us to death." "Had to save Emma," Lily said simply. "Emma saves me every day." They got her inside, wrapped in warm towels. The tablet did indeed have video, clear footage of Margaret threatening Emma, admitting to the planted jewelry, discussing the fraud plan. A 5-year-old had thought to record what none of the adults had. "When did you get so smart?" Emma asked, holding Lily close. "Always smart, just quiet before." Lily looked between them. "Family protects family, right?" "Right," Daniel said, voice thick. "But no more climbing on roofs." "No more leaving," Lily countered, looking at Emma. "No more leaving," Emma promised. That night, after Lily was asleep, in their bed, refusing to let Emma out of her sight, Daniel and Emma stood in the kitchen, processing everything. "She could have fallen," Emma said, the reality hitting her. "She could have, but she didn't. She's brave, like someone else I know." "I almost went to jail today." "But you didn't. Your daughter climbed onto a roof in the rain for me." "Our daughter," Daniel corrected softly. "She's our daughter, Emma, in every way that matters." Emma looked at him, this man who'd chartered a plane for her, who'd stood up to police for her. who called Lily their daughter like it was the most natural thing in the world. Daniel, what are we doing? Really? He moved closer, framing her face with his hands. We're choosing each other. We're building something real out of something that started as a lie. We're giving Lily the family she deserves and ourselves the love we thought we'd never find again. It's been 3 weeks. The best 3 weeks since I lost Claire. Emma, I know this is fast. I know it's unconventional. But when you know, and I know. Know what? That you belong here. That Lily belongs with you. He paused, then pushed forward. That I love you. Not because you saved Lily, not because you fill a role, but because you're you. Because you make terrible coffee but perfect pancakes. Because you hum when you're happy and bite your lip when you're thinking. Because you look at Lily like she hung the moon and at me like I might be worth believing in. Emma's tears fell freely now. I love you too, both of you, so much it terrifies me. Good, we can be terrified together. He kissed her then, soft and sure, a promise of all the days to come. From the doorway, a small voice. Finally. They broke apart to find Lily standing there, grinning despite her exhausting day. Were you watching? Daniel asked, waiting for you to kiss forever. Emma laughed, scooping her up. You little matchmaker. Smart, remember? As they carried her back to bed, Lily spoke sleepily. Tomorrow, we go see Grandma Eleanor. Daniel and Emma exchanged glances. Eleanor had been texting, wanting to reconnect. Would you like that? Emma asked. Yes, tell her about family, our family. Our family. 3 people who'd found each other through loss, lies, and love. It shouldn't work, but it did. Later, as Daniel and Emma lay with Lily between them, the little girl sleeping peacefully, Emma whispered, Are we really doing this? All of it? All of it, Daniel confirmed. The lawyers, the custody papers, the restraining orders against Margaret, making you legally Lily's guardian, making us official. That's a lot of paperwork. Worth it? He said simply. You both are worth everything. Emma reached across Lily to take his hand. Tomorrow would bring more challenges. Eleanor to face, Margaret to fight, a future to build. But tonight, they were together. A family forged not by blood or law, but by choice, by courage, by love that refused to let fear win. Daniel? Yeah? Thank you for choosing us. Thank you for staying. Lily shifted in her sleep, murmuring, Home. Yes, Emma thought, holding tighter to both of them. Home. Finally, impossibly, perfectly home. Chorus. Door. The courthouse steps seemed to stretch forever as Emma climbed them, Daniel on one side, Eleanor surprisingly on the other. It had been 2 months since that terrible day at the police station, and now everything would be decided. Remember, Richard said, joining them at the top, Margaret and Sophie are desperate. They'll say anything. Don't react. Don't engage. Inside, Lily was waiting with Mrs. Chen in a quiet room, coloring with fierce concentration. She looked up when they entered, immediately reaching for Emma. Today is the day? Today's the day, Emma confirmed, smoothing her hair. The judge will decide about the restraining order and the theft charges. And my papers? Lily asked, looking between Emma and Daniel. Those too, Daniel said. The adoption papers. Lily beamed. Emma, Mommy, papers. Eleanor cleared her throat. I have something for you, Emma. She pulled out an envelope, aged and worn. Claire wrote this when Lily was born. Instructions for whoever would raise her if something happened. I never opened it. It didn't seem right. But now? Emma took the envelope with trembling hands. Her name wasn't on it, of course. Claire had never known her, but somehow it felt meant for her. She tucked it away to read later. All rise, the bailiff called. The courtroom was smaller than Emma expected. Margaret and Sophie sat at the defendant's table, Margaret in an expensive suit she'd probably bought with Emma's father's money, Sophie looking sullen and bored. Judge Patricia Hoffman, a woman in her 60s with sharp eyes, reviewed the papers before her. This is a hearing regarding multiple interrelated issues, she began. Restraining orders, theft allegations, and a petition for legal adoption. Let's start with the restraining order. Ms. Emma Hayes, please take the stand. Emma's legs shook as she walked forward. Margaret's lawyer, a slick-looking man named Peterson, watched her like a hawk. Ms. Hayes, the judge began, please tell the court about your relationship with Margaret and Sophie Hayes. Emma told it all. Years of servitude, the theft of her inheritance, the forced impersonation, the threats. Her voice grew stronger as she spoke, especially when she described finding Lily, helping her speak again. And you're seeking to adopt this child? The judge asked. With Mr. Cross's consent, yes. I love her like she's my own. Peterson stood for cross-examination. Ms. Hayes, isn't it true you lived in Margaret Hayes's home, rent-free for 8 years? I lived in my father's home, which he left to me in his will, though Margaret controlled. But Margaret paid for utilities, food, clothing. With my father's life insurance and my mother's inheritance, yes. Can you prove that? Richard stood. We have bank records, Your Honor. Deposits from Emma's father's accounts into Margaret's, totaling over $300,000 over 8 years. Margaret went pale. Peterson pivoted. You admit you impersonated a nurse? I went to the Cross home because Margaret threatened to make me homeless if I didn't. I never claimed to be a nurse once there. But you accepted money? Mr. Cross gave me gifts. I was never employed. Convenient story, crafted with your wealthy boyfriend's lawyers. Objection, Richard called. Sustained. Mr. Peterson, stick to facts. Daniel was called next. He testified about Lily's condition, Emma's arrival, the transformation. He played audio recordings of Margaret's blackmail attempts. I knew Emma wasn't Sophie within days, he said firmly. I chose to let her stay because my daughter needed her, because I needed her. Not as a nurse, as a person, as family. And now you want to let her adopt your daughter? I want to marry her, Daniel said simply, causing a stir in the courtroom. But first, I want to ensure Lily is legally protected, that Emma has parental rights regardless of our relationship status. Then came the moment Emma had dreaded. Sophie took the stand. She ruined my life, Sophie whined. The agency fired me. My reputation is destroyed. Because you sent her in your place? The judge asked pointedly. I didn't make her go. No, but you accepted the booking, took the deposit, and then chose to attend a party instead? Sophie squirmed. That's not illegal. No, but it's relevant to credibility. Next witness. Margaret took the stand, all wounded dignity and false tears. I took Emma in when she had nothing, she said. Fed her, clothed her, sheltered her. And this is how she repays me? The judge looked unmoved. Mrs. Hayes, these bank records show significant transfers from accounts belonging to Emma's deceased parents. Can you explain? I was managing the funds for Emma's benefit. By purchasing yourself a Mercedes, by taking vacations to Europe. Margaret's lawyer tried to object, but the judge continued. Mrs. Hayes, did you threaten to evict Emma if she didn't impersonate Sophie? I may have suggested, yes or no. It wasn't a threat. The judge played the recording from Lily's tablet, Margaret's voice filling the courtroom. Do this, or you're on the street tonight. You owe this family everything. Margaret sank in her chair. Then something unexpected happened. The courtroom door opened, and a small figure marched in, Mrs. Chen trailing behind, trying to stop her. Lily, Daniel started to rise. I need to talk, Lily said clearly, her voice ringing through the courtroom. The judge looked surprised, but intrigued. Young lady, this is a courtroom. No. Lily walked right up to the bench, looking up at the judge. You decide about Emma? In a way, yes. Lily pulled out a piece of paper from her pocket, carefully unfolding it. I wrote something. The judge glanced at the lawyers. This is highly irregular. Please, Lily said, and that one word held so much weight that the judge nodded. Lily cleared her throat and read, her voice growing stronger with each word. My name is Lily Cross. I am 5 years old. For 2 years, I did not talk. My mama died, and words hurt too much. Then Emma came. Emma did not make me talk. Emma waited. Emma loved me quiet. Emma loved me loud. Emma loves me always. Margaret is mean. She hurts Emma with words. Sophie is selfish. She hurts Emma with lies. But Emma is kind. Emma is true. Emma is my mommy now. Not because she has to be, because she chooses to be. I choose Emma too, every day, forever. Please let Emma be my real mommy on paper. She already is in my heart. Thank you. Love, Lily. The courtroom was silent. Emma was crying. Daniel was crying. Even Eleanor was wiping her eyes. Lily walked to Emma and climbed into her lap. Did. Good. Perfect, baby. Perfect. The judge cleared her throat. Well, that was illuminating. Mrs. Hayes, any response? Margaret's lawyer whispered urgently in her ear, but she pushed him away, standing. That child doesn't understand? That child, the judge interrupted, understands perfectly. She understands love, loyalty, and family better than some adults in this room. Your Honor, Richard stood, we have one more piece of evidence, a letter from Claire Cross written before her death. Eleanor had given it to them, still sealed. Daniel opened it with shaking hands and read, To whoever loves my daughter when I cannot, I don't know you. I don't know when you'll read this, but if you're reading it, it means you've stepped into my shoes, into the space I left behind. Please know this. Lily doesn't need perfection. She doesn't need credentials or pedigree. She needs someone who sees her, really sees her. Someone who understands that love isn't about blood or time or conventional families. It's about showing up, staying when it's hard, choosing each other daily. If you love my daughter, if she loves you, if Daniel loves you, then you're family. You're her mother. Biology and legality are just details. Be brave, love hard, make mistakes and apologize. Teach her to be fierce and tender. Show her that families can be broken and rebuilt, that love can be found in unexpected places. Thank you for being what she needs, what they both need, with gratitude and love. Claire. The silence was deafening. Even Margaret looked shaken. The judge took off her glasses, wiping them slowly. In 20 years on the bench, I've rarely seen a case this clear. Margaret Hayes, Sophie Hayes. You are hereby ordered to have no contact with Emma Hayes, Daniel Cross, or Lily Cross. Any violation will result in immediate arrest. Furthermore, the financial abuse allegations will be forwarded to the district attorney for criminal prosecution. Mrs. Margaret Hayes, you will repay every cent taken from Emma's inheritance, with interest. As for the adoption petition, she looked at Emma, holding Lily. Ms. Hayes, it's clear you've already adopted this child in every way that matters. The court simply needs to catch up to reality. Petition granted, pending standard background checks and home study, which I'm expediting given the circumstances. We won? Lily asked loudly. Yes, sweetheart, the judge said, smiling for the first time. You won. Margaret stood abruptly. This isn't over. Yes, it is, the judge said firmly. Bailiff, please escort Mrs. Hayes and her daughter out. Any further outburst will be considered contempt. As Margaret was led past, she hissed at Emma. You think you've won? You're nothing. You'll always be nothing. Lily stood up in Emma's arms, facing Margaret squarely. Emma is everything. You are nothing. The 5-year-old's dismissal was so complete, so final, that Margaret had no response. She was led away, Sophie trailing behind, both of them finally, completely out of their lives. In the hallway afterward, everyone gathered around Emma and Lily. Eleanor hugged them both, tears streaming. Claire would be so proud, she whispered, so proud. We all family now? Lily asked, looking around at the group. All family, Daniel confirmed, pulling Emma close. Speaking of which, he dropped to one knee right there in the courthouse hallway. Emma gasped, hands flying to her mouth. Emma Hayes, you walked into our lives as a beautiful lie and became our most essential truth. You gave my daughter her voice back. You gave me hope back. You gave us a family back. He pulled out a ring, simple but perfect. I know we said we'd wait, but I don't want to wait. I want you to be Lily's mother, legally, officially, forever. And I want you to be my wife. Will you marry us? Say yes, Lily shouted, bouncing with excitement. Emma looked at this man, this child, this life she'd never dared dream of. 3 months ago, she'd been nobody, owned nothing, belonged nowhere. Now she had everything. Yes, she said, tears flowing. Yes to all of it. Yes forever. Daniel slipped the ring on her finger, stood, and kissed her, while Lily cheered and Eleanor clapped, and even Richard smiled. "Can we get married today?" Lily asked hopefully. "Not today, sweetheart," Daniel laughed, "but soon. Tomorrow? Maybe next month. Too long." As they walked out of the courthouse into the Seattle sunshine, rare for autumn, Emma felt the weight of years lifting off her shoulders. Margaret had no more power. Sophie was irrelevant. The fear was gone. "Emma, Mommy," Lily said, testing out the words. "Yes, baby. We go home. Now, home." Their glass tower that had become a real home. Their family that had formed from loss and lies and love. "Yes," Emma said, holding her daughter, closer. "Let's go home." Daniel took her hand, the engagement ring catching the light. "No more looking back?" "No more looking back," Emma agreed. "Only forward." "Together," Lily added, the word clear and strong. "Together," they all said. As they drove home, Lily chattering about wedding dresses and flower arrangements, Daniel holding Emma's hand at every red light, Emma thought about Claire's letter. About showing up, staying when it's hard, choosing each other daily. She'd been chosen. After a lifetime of being unwanted, unnecessary, not enough, she'd been chosen by a little girl who needed a mother, and a man who needed a partner. But more importantly, she'd chosen them back. Chosen to stay when leaving would have been easier. Chosen truth when lies were safer. Chosen love when fear was familiar. The glass tower came into view, afternoon sun making it shine like a beacon. Through the windows, Emma could see the life they'd built. Lily's drawings, Daniel's office where he worked while they painted, the kitchen where pancakes happened every Saturday. "Look," Lily said, pointing. "Our castle." "Our castle," Emma agreed. Margaret had been wrong. Emma wasn't nothing. She was a mother, a fiancée, a chosen family member. She was exactly where she belonged. As they pulled into the driveway, Lily was already planning wedding, inn, garden, Grandma, Eleanor, comes, Mrs. Chen, cries, happy, tears, I, throw, flowers, then, baby, brother. "Slow down there, little planner," Daniel laughed, but Lily was already running toward the house, toward their future, voice strong and clear. "Emma, Daddy, come, on, life is waiting." And it was. Life, real life, not just survival, was waiting. Emma took Daniel's hand and walked toward it, toward their daughter's laughter, toward their unconventional perfect family, toward the tomorrow that had once seemed impossible and now seemed inevitable. Behind them, the courthouse faded into memory. Ahead, everything bright and possible beckoned. They were home. Yazis Borstas. 6 months later, the cross garden had been transformed into something from a fairy tale. Not the elaborate, expensive kind that Margaret would have demanded, but something better. Cherry blossoms imported from the local botanical garden, handmade paper cranes, Lily had insisted on making 100 herself, and soft light strung between the trees like captured stars. Emma stood before the mirror in what used to be the guest room, now officially her and Daniel's room, while Eleanor and Mrs. Chen fussed with her dress. It was simple, elegant, nothing like the elaborate gown Sophie had been showing off on Instagram, from her own rushed wedding to some cryptocurrency investor she'd met in Miami. "Stop fidgeting," Eleanor said gently, adjusting Emma's veil. "You look perfect." "I'm nervous," Emma admitted. "What if—" "Mama," Lily burst through the door in her flower girl dress, pink tulle and ribbons, looking like a fairy princess. "No what-ifs, only I doze." The room laughed. Lily's speech had become almost entirely fluent over the months, though she still spoke deliberately when something was important. "You're right, sweetheart," Emma said, kneeling carefully in her dress. "Only I do's." Lily pulled something from behind her back, a small wrapped box. "Wedding present, from me." Emma opened it to find a silver locket. Inside was a photo on one side of her, and Lily laughing at breakfast, syrup on both their faces. On the other side, Claire holding baby Lily. "Both mommies," Lily explained. "Together, always." Emma's eyes welled. "Oh, baby." "No crying," Lily commanded. "Makeup will run. Mrs. Chen said so." Through the window, Emma could see guests arriving. Not many, they'd kept it small. Daniel's business partners, a few of Eleanor's friends, some parents from Lily's new school, where she was thriving. And surprisingly, Emma's father's sister, Aunt Ruth, who'd reached out after seeing the engagement announcement, appalled to learn what Margaret had done all these years. "It's time," Eleanor said softly. The string quartet began playing, not the traditional wedding march, but River Flows in You, Claire's song that had become their family song. Lily walked first, taking her job seriously, scattering rose petals with mathematical precision. The guests chuckled warmly at her concentration. Then Emma stepped out, and her breath caught. Daniel stood at the makeshift altar under an arch of cherry blossoms, looking at her like she was everything he'd ever wanted. His eyes were already wet with tears he wasn't trying to hide. The walk felt both eternal and instant. Then she was there, taking his hands, while Lily stood between them, beaming. Richard Chen, who'd gotten ordained online just for this occasion, "After all we've been through, I deserve to marry you two off properly," cleared his throat. "Dearly beloved, we're gathered here to witness something that shouldn't work, but does. A family built not on conventional beginnings, but on choice, courage, and a little girl who decided two broken people belong together." "That's me," Lily stage whispered, making everyone laugh. "Daniel, your vows." Daniel pulled out a paper, then put it away. "I wrote something, but Emma, 6 months ago you walked into our house pretending to be someone else. Thank you for that lie, because it brought us the truth. You taught Lily to speak again, but you taught me something harder, how to hope again, how to believe that Chapter 2 could be as beautiful as Chapter 1, just different. I promise to choose you every morning, to trust you with our daughter, our future children." "Brother first," Lily interrupted. "Then sister." More laughter. Daniel continued. "To trust you with my heart. I promise that you'll never have to earn your place in our home again. It's yours. We're yours. Forever." Emma was crying, not caring about makeup. "Daniel, I spent my whole life feeling like I was borrowing other people's oxygen, living on other people's charity. You and Lily gave me something I never had, the certainty that I was wanted, chosen, essential, not because of what I could do, but because of who I am. I promise to love you both fearlessly, to show up every day, to make terrible coffee but excellent pancakes." "Very terrible coffee," Daniel agreed, grinning through his tears. "To be Lily's mother, your wife, and whatever else our future holds. I promise to stay, always stay." "My turn," Lily announced, pulling out her own paper. "I, Lily Cross, take Emma to be my mommy, forever and ever, no takebacks. I promise to love her even when she makes me eat vegetables. I promise to teach her kid stuff. I promise to share Daddy even though I was here first." The guests were openly weeping now. "Rings?" Richard asked. Lily produced the rings from a small silk bag, so proud of her responsibility. Daniel slipped the band onto Emma's finger, a perfect fit next to her engagement ring. "With this ring, I choose you," he said simply. Emma placed his ring, her hand steady now. "With this ring, I choose you back." "By the power vested in me by the internet," Richard said, voice thick with emotion. "I pronounce you husband and wife, and officially, legally, blessedly, family." Daniel kissed Emma while Lily hugged their legs, and the garden erupted in cheers. The reception was in the house, transformed with lights and flowers. Emma had insisted on cooking much of the food herself, despite Daniel's protests that they could hire caterers. "I want to feed our guests," she'd said. "It's how I show love." During toasts, Eleanor stood first, raising her champagne. "When I lost Claire, I thought I'd lost everything. I ran from my grief, abandoned this beautiful child and her father. Emma, you didn't just save them, you saved me too. You showed me that families can be rebuilt, that there's no expiration date on love or forgiveness. Claire would have adored you. She does adore you, wherever she is." Lily tugged on the microphone. "My turn." She climbed onto a chair, glass of apple juice in hand. "When Mama went to heaven, I stopped talking because words hurt too much. Then Emma came in the rain, all wet and scared and perfect. She didn't try to fix me, she just loved me. And guess what? Love fixes everything. Emma is my mommy now, not instead of mama, together with mama. My two mommies who love me to the moon and back and around the stars and through black holes and... We get it, Space Cadet, Daniel laughed, scooping her up. Later, as the sun set and the party continued, Emma found herself on the terrace where she and Daniel had had so many important conversations. But this time, she wasn't alone or afraid. Daniel's arms were around her. Lily was dancing with Eleanor in the living room, and life felt full in ways she'd never imagined possible. Any regrets? Daniel asked softly. Only one, Emma said. He tensed. What? I wish my parents could have seen this, seen that their daughter made it, that all their love, even cut short, led to this. Daniel held her tighter. They know, somehow, they know. A knock at the terrace door interrupted them. Lily stood there with Aunt Ruth, who'd been quiet most of the evening. Aunt Ruth has something for you, Lily announced. Ruth stepped forward, holding an old box. I've been saving this. Your father gave it to me before he died, asked me to keep it safe until you got married. He knew Margaret would take everything else, but she didn't know about this. Emma opened the box with trembling hands. Inside were her parents' wedding rings, a photo album she'd never seen, and a letter in her father's handwriting. My dearest Emma, she read aloud, voice shaking. If you're reading this, you're getting married, and I'm not there to walk you down the aisle. I'm sorry for that, sorrier than words can say. But know this, I see your future even from here. I see you finding someone who recognizes the treasure you are. I see you having the family you deserve. I see you happy. Your mother and I didn't have long enough, but what we had was everything. That's what I wish for you. Not length of days, but depth of love. Not perfect circumstances, but perfect commitment to imperfect people who choose each other anyway. Be brave, my girl. Love hard. Make mistakes. Make pancakes. Make babies. Make a life so beautiful that when you're old, you'll look back and think, yes, that was worth everything. All my love, Dad. Emma was sobbing now, Daniel holding her while Lily patted her back. Happy tears, Lily asked anxiously. The happiest, Emma assured her. Ruth smiled softly. He'd be so proud. They both would. As the evening wound down, guests departing with hugs and good wishes, the new family of three sat in the living room, Lily fighting sleep between them. Best day ever, she mumbled. Best day so far, Daniel corrected. Tomorrow might be even better. How? Because tomorrow you'll wake up and Emma will still be here, and the next day, and the next. Forever days, Lily agreed sleepily. They carried her to bed together, tucking her in as they had every night for months now, but this time as officially, legally, a family. Story? Lily requested drowsily. Emma sat on the bed's edge. Once upon a time, there was a little girl who lost her voice, and there was a daddy who lost his smile, and there was a woman who lost her home. But they found each other, Lily supplied, knowing this story by heart now. They found each other, Emma agreed, and the little girl got her voice back, stronger than ever, and the daddy got his smile back, brighter than before. And the woman? She got a home, Lily said, a forever home with people who love her. That's right. And they lived happily ever after, Lily concluded firmly. They lived happily, Emma agreed, and when things got hard, they chose each other again, and when things got scary, they held on tight, and when things got wonderful, they said thank you, Lily finished. Thank you for storms that bring people to the right door. Daniel kissed his daughter's forehead. Thank you for broken bikes and scared women and brave little girls. Thank you for second chances, Emma added, and third chances, and infinite chances to get it right. Lily was asleep, peaceful and safe. They stood in her doorway for a moment, just watching her breathe. Ready for bed, Mrs. Cross? Daniel asked. Emma Cross, she said, testing the name. I love it. I love you. I love you too, both of you, all of us. Later, as they lay in their bed, moonlight streaming through the windows, Emma thought about the journey from that desperate rainy night when she'd stood on this doorstep, terrified and lying, to now, married, adopted, belonging completely. What are you thinking? Daniel asked. About Margaret, actually. He tensed. What about her? I forgive her. Emma, no, really, if she hadn't been so cruel, I never would have come here, never would have met you and Lily. In trying to use me, she freed me. In trying to break me, she led me to healing. That's surprisingly zen of you. Lily taught me. Love fixes everything, remember? Even the past. Daniel pulled her closer. Speaking of Lily, she's serious about that brother. Emma smiled in the darkness. I know. Is that something you want? More children? I want everything, Emma said simply. Everything we can have, everything we can build. Brothers for Lily, sisters, dogs, cats, chaotic Christmas mornings, family vacations where someone always gets carsick. I want the whole beautiful, messy thing. Good, because I might have already started looking at bigger houses, with more bedrooms, and a yard for that dog. Daniel Cross, you presumptuous man. You love me anyway. I do, I really do. Outside, Seattle slept under a canopy of rare stars. Inside the glass tower that had become a real home, 3 hearts beat in proximity, in peace, in promise of all the tomorrows to come. Margaret was in Florida now, according to Ruth, living with a cousin, still bitter but defanged. Sophie's marriage had already imploded, her husband discovering she'd lied about her nursing credentials, among other things. But those were footnotes now, barely worth remembering. What mattered was this: a little girl sleeping soundly, dreaming of baby brothers. A man who'd thought his heart was buried with his first wife, finding it beating stronger than ever. A woman who'd been nobody's choice, becoming everybody's anchor. Emma, Daniel whispered. Thank you. For what? For coming in from the rain, for staying through the storm, for being brave enough to love us. Thank you for seeing past the lie to the truth underneath. It was never really a lie, was it? You were always exactly who we needed. We just didn't know your real name. Emma turned in his arms, kissing him softly. I love you, Daniel Cross. I love you, Emma Cross. Down the hall, Lily stirred, calling out softly, Mommy? Emma's heart still stuttered every time. Coming, sweetheart. She padded down the hall, Daniel behind her, to find Lily sitting up, not distressed, just checking. You're still here, Lily said contentedly. Still here. Forever? Forever. Good. Can we have pancakes tomorrow? Wedding pancakes? Wedding pancakes it is. Lily lay back down, asleep again in seconds. Emma and Daniel stood there, hands linked, watching their daughter dream. This was happiness, Emma realized. Not the absence of problems, but the presence of people who made problems worth solving. Not perfection, but the perfect commitment to imperfection that her father had wished for her. Tomorrow would bring challenges. Lily would start first grade soon. Daniel's company was expanding internationally. Emma had been accepted to community college, finally pursuing the education Margaret had denied her. There would be arguments about vegetables and bedtimes, negotiations about screen time and sleepovers, all the ordinary extraordinariness of family life. But tonight, in this moment, in this house that had sheltered their becoming, Emma Cross stood with her husband, watching their daughter sleep, and knew with bone-deep certainty that she was exactly where she belonged. Home. Finally, truly, forever home. And somewhere in heaven, 2 mothers, Claire and Emma's own, smiled down at the family they'd helped create through loss, through love, through the mysterious grace that brings broken people together and makes them whole. The end was really just the beginning, and what a beautiful beginning it was.